Angelo Gavrielatos is the president of the New South Wales Teachers Federation. He joins me now. Thanks for joining us again, Angelo. Look, you had a practice run. The whole school system last year had a practice run with a bit of remote learning. Obviously, a lot of that's been put into practice and today, by all accounts, has gone pretty well. But it's not ideal, is it, for teachers or particularly for students?
Good evening, Chris. It's good to be with you. Of course, it's not ideal. This is hardly the start to term 3 that any of us wanted. But such is the pandemic that we need to put health and safety first. These are very trying times for teachers. They're very trying times for parents, and I listened very carefully to your package before I came on. Very difficult times. If anyone assumes that this is easy for teachers who are also parents, I'd ask them to think again. It's not something you can simply turn on and off. It's very complex, and the complexity also includes the fact, and we should never forget this, that many of our students just don't have the resources, the hardware, nor the internet available in their homes to access online learning. So many of our teachers and principals have been stuffing packages of lessons, photocopying reams of paper to make sure that they can dispatch it to homes so that every kid can have something in front of them during these difficult times.
Yeah, it's enormously difficult. 2 or 3 kids need an iPad or a computer each. You've got to have the broadband to deal with that. It's those factors alone make it very, very difficult. And obviously, socio-economic factors come into play here, which is all the more reason we need to get people back at school. But you seem to be making fairly heavy demands when it comes to vaccination and getting teachers back in the classroom with kids.
And certainly we have been since August of last year, Chris. We've been making representations to the federal government since August and February this year. The State Minister, Minister Mitchell, joined those representations. And yesterday there was a breakthrough with the state government announcing that teachers in the first instance, in fact, all education workers in those 3 affected LGAs of Fairfield, Canterbury, Bankstown and Liverpool will be prioritised now for the vaccination. Chris, the problem is that the concern is that this Delta variant is of great concern to us all, mums and dads, teachers, the whole community. As of last week, there were 37 cases of young people aged 10 to 19 that had contracted the virus and therefore were transmitting it, and some 25 kids under the age of 10 that had fallen ill to the virus. This Delta variant is a very different kettle to fish when compared to last year.
Yeah, look, the transmission rates are absolutely true, but I've got to keep restating the fact that the risk to health of young people, young adults and children is much lower with this virus than just about anything similar. That said, of course, you want to stop transmission. And that's
Correct.
What teachers are vulnerable, because they're probably more vulnerable of receiving the virus from children and getting ill themselves. Now, obviously, older teachers have qualified for vaccination, but you're talking about teachers presumably under 40 who should perhaps be included in the frontline workers along with police and nurses and the like.
And yesterday that was the breakthrough. Yesterday the breakthrough announced by the Premier was that teachers will be prioritised, starting with those 3 LGAs, Liverpool, Canterbury, Bankstown and Fairfield. We're expecting advice to be sent to all teachers and all education workers, staff, in the school, working at those schools. We expect that advice to be issued hopefully tomorrow, because it will be complicated. The logistics will be complicated giving effect to this, which we understand will start from Friday onwards. So this is a good breakthrough, and we certainly hope it's the first step to what will be a prioritisation of teachers right across the state.
There's nothing mandatory about this, Angelo. There's nothing mandatory. It's just that all teachers should have access to a vaccine as soon as possible. They shouldn't have to be vaccinated.
It's not been mandated, but the option is there. The prioritisation is there for teachers to take up, and they'll be invited to do so, as I said, with advice being issued tomorrow. And
just quickly, you expect that remote learning will stay in place for a month from now?
I can't answer that question, Chris, but I look at those figures each morning at 11 o'clock, that, like you do, I'm sure, and your viewers do. The last couple of days haven't been good, and the figure that's of greatest concern is how many cases have been in the community whilst infected. Those numbers are too high. Some 21 cases in the community whilst infected today, larger numbers yesterday. That number has to come down to zero so we stop spreading this virus through such transmission. Disturbing numbers. We've got to keep working at getting those numbers down.
Thanks for joining us again, Angelo. I appreciate it.
Great to be with you, Chris. Thank you.
Angelo Gavrielatos there, the president of the New South Wales Teachers Federation, and we dips our lid to the teachers. We often sing the praises of our frontline workers and police, but teachers today, as Angelo said, think about teachers who are also parents dealing with delivering homeschooling and also having to care for their children or make sure they get access to it as well. Let's hope this goes on for the shortest possible time.